right, hey everybody, how's it going? It's your boy, Delightful Kiss Boy, and I'm here with a very special video for you today. I've got the one and only Mike Klubnika here with me for a little chit chat. So Mike is the creator of Buckshot Roulette, as well as other cool horror games such as Unsorted VHS, Unsorted Horror, other games you can find on his itch page. Apparently one that you have to email him to get, which I found out about
Yeah,
through
that's a new one.
yeah, so I found out about that one through Twitter. But yeah, without further ado, how you doing, Mike? Thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm doing good. I got my Red Balls. I just bought 8 Red Balls. It's going good.
Dude, I used to be hopelessly addicted to Red Bull back in college. I've switched to coffee recently.
Well, to be fair, I'm not like addicted to Red Bull. I'm just an enjoyer of Red Bull.
Casual enjoyer. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now, one time we had a Secret Santa when I was in college, and this dude, his gift to me was just a big case of Red Bull. So I was kind of known for that. But anyway, man, yeah, just kind of having a casual convo. One of the questions I had though is, indie game developer. I was just wondering what kind of games have you enjoyed over the years that may or may not have influenced your games? Just some standout titles that you're like, oh my god, this game's amazing, that sort of thing. What are some of your faves?
Oh, some of my favorites. Well, first thing that comes to mind is like Outer Wilds.
Dude, I love that game.
Probably. Yeah, Outer Wilds is really good. One of my favorite games was also Dead by Daylight, like probably like 5 years ago. Used to play it every day. Nowadays, it's not that good.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, I mean, there were some changes to like UI and balance, which made it weird. But yeah, like Outer Wilds has probably had like the biggest influence for me, because like like the base game is super good because it's like atmospheric, and also they have like their design was pretty much that like, oh, players are like kind of lazy and like engaging with like heavy story stuff. Not like lazy, but like if a player like gets a block of text on some UI, most likely they're not going to read it. So they approached Outer Wilds in a way that like players would be, so that like all the story elements are like super engaging, um, which I thought was really cool. And then they casually just added like the DLC, which I think it was like Eye of something. I forgot.
Echoes of the Eye, right?
Yeah, exactly, Echoes of the Eye. And then I went into that blind too, and then it was also like probably like the best horror game I ever played, because of the way that they like presented the like creepy dudes, like the deer guys,
Yeah, so I
was
still
like,
I still got to play the DLC, but the base game was like one of my favorite games ever. It's so good, you know. But
oh
the
yeah, it's amazing.
but so
Yeah.
Echoes of the Eye is more horror focused. Is that right?
Not, I mean, yeah, it has like yeah, it's, I wouldn't say it's like fully horror, but like it has parts that are, yeah, pretty horror, especially like compared to the base game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um,
But I could kind of see
yeah.
the influence, like now that you mention it, right, with Outer Wilds, because I was gonna say like the games prior to Buckshot Roulette, a lot of it was like kind of what was it? You kind of end up in a situation, a horrible situation, and a fucking industrial container or something like that, and you'd have to figure out how to use like a kind of a like an esoteric machine, and you don't give any instructions really on how to use the machinery. So part of the game is like figuring out how it works. There's not much hand holding.
Yeah.
Was that kind of an inspiration from Outer Wilds? Because I mean, Outer Wilds is kind of they just drop you in a sandbox, give you a few pointers, and then say, "Hey, go explore." Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I really appreciate like no hand holding. And I mean, it's pretty, I mean, there are like moments in Outer Wilds where you feel like a bit lost, but like most of the time you don't really need someone to like hold your hand or anything. So yeah, I think that's it's super good.
Yeah, totally. Well, it kind of reminds me of the. You ever played The Witness before?
The Witness.
It's a puzzle game. I'm really.
No, yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never played it. No.
It's pretty good. It's a little pretentious, honestly, but I like puzzle games. But it has the same kind of philosophy where it doesn't explicitly it doesn't have like a tutorial, right? It's basically like it
Mm.
teaches you how to play the game through other puzzles, you know, so you kind of learn that way. I think it's a really cool design philosophy. It's a lot more like immersive, and I'm sure that that helps in your case with like horror, right? You want horror to be as immersive as possible, right? So if you have a tutorial that's like, you know, first day on the job, like you got to make sure that the, you know, the horrible monsters from the pit are, um,
Yeah,
you know, whatever. If you had that, it'd probably detract from the horror, right?
yeah, I pretty much agree. I try to keep like handholding to a minimum. But like one example is like carbon steel, because really, because carbon steel is like the first versions of the game. Because in the game, pretty much what you do is you like make anesthesia for these like wiggly creatures, and you use like a bunch of machines. But like the first thing, like the first version of the game was pretty much that the emails were like, because you would start the game with like reading an email, and the dudes were like, oh, this is what you do. They used to be super long and go into detail. Um, and they just cut it down to like bare bones. Like this, just sedate the creature, do this, and then like good luck, and then you just have to figure out the machines on your own. So I
Yeah.
guess it's just like mainly giving the player a goal, and then like the rest is up to them. There are still like, because I've watched like a dozen streams of like people playing Unsorted Horror, and the main game where most people get stuck at is Carbon Steel, because like I've seen them like read the email multiple times, but still be like really clueless as to what is going on.
Yeah, well,
Um,
when I first played it, it took me a while to find the compartment with all the things they use to take the samples and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this talking about? But it kind of adds to the experience of you just kind of being in a situation you have to figure it out, in my opinion. But uh,
yeah.
but yeah, man.
Another,
Oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, I was gonna say like another thing that's like been inspirational for me is like all the like diegetic UIs. Um, 'Cause, Gloomwood had a really cool diegetic. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but their inventory is like this physical briefcase where you have the item slots, and it's really nice.
Oh yeah.
There's also like Full Fathom, that's like in development right now. It's like this submarine horror game. Like every single UI element in the game is like fully physical and like in game, which is super cool. And also, um, like my main gripe with like game development is like UI design. So like for Buckshot, I did want the player to be able to like input their name, but like doing that with like generic UI that like pops up and you type your name and press OK was like so incredibly boring to me. I just made like the whole like signature machine thing,
Oh yeah.
um, with like the keyboard, like the alphabetical keyboard, because that's just like super fun to make. And I think it also looks cool.
Totally. Totally. Well, the other thing about Gloomwood's the top-down one, right? Where you're kind of it's a survival horror, and then you like coop up for the night and try to survive. Is that right?
No, I don't think Gloomwood is actually a horror game. No, Gloomwood is like a stealth first-person game, unless I'm mixing up the names
Oh,
right
maybe
now.
I'm. No, I think it's Darkwood is the one I'm thinking. There's a similar.
Oh, okay.
There's a
Yeah.
top down survival horror game, but no, I got you. I got
Mm.
you. Cool. Yeah, I mean the one of the other things I want to talk about. This is a very specific thing, but I saw you tweeted a while ago. It was like one of your games and three of the influences on that game. And so you tweeted out Buckshot, and of course you had Inscription there. There was one other game that I don't remember what it was, but the thing that stood out for me was the PilotRedSun video. The one where it's like, we gotta dump the Quaaludes, man, which is
Yeah,
an amazing video. I love Pilot Red Sun is one of my favorite YouTube channels. Period. It's just so off the wall, unique. You can just tell the dude is doing
yeah.
exactly what he wants. But I was curious, like. There's the obvious, Quaaludes overlap, because you take Quaaludes to get into endless mode. Is there more inspiration you've taken from Pilot Red Sun in his work or that video specifically?
Oh yeah, probably like the aesthetic. Because Pilot Red Sun has like everything is extremely warped and stretched in a weird way.
Oh yeah.
Um, because like I don't have like that many stretched textures, but if like a texture is stretched, then for me it's like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And also like specifically like the Quaaludes video, it has like a point and click like aesthetic to it, which I really like.
Oh yeah.
Mm, yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I
And
feel.
funnily enough,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Pilot Red Sun's like one of the videos is like this spearhead dude like in
Yeah,
prison.
I was gonna ask about that. It was Felonious Bolus. I was wondering,
Yeah, exactly.
was that a
Probably like subconscious inspiration for like Dealer, possibly like
well, I was going to
yeah,
ask, so it wasn't an explicit reference there. It was just kind of like, it happened to be that you were a Pilot Red Sun fan,
yeah,
and then you wanted to make a ball head with arms.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Actually, I had one other question about a specific reference, because when I first played Buckshot, right, you play through the main game, you get to a point, and there's the contract that pops out with it's like, God signed the contract and assumedly died, right? It has blood all over the
Yeah.
thing. That reminded me specifically. I don't know if you've seen this movie, but I've seen this movie several times, which says something about me. But it's Hobo with a Shotgun. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, okay. There's a part I was wondering, because there's a part where there's like these bounty hunters that kidnap the hobo, and they take him back, and there's like a wall where it's supposedly all the people they've taken out over time, and they have Jesus up on the wall with his eyes crossed out.
Oh.
So I thought maybe that was a
Mm.
reference. I thought I saw a post where you had hobo with a shotgun listed, or like it was like the dealer watches hobo with a shotgun or something like that. But maybe I'm wrong about
Oh
that.
yeah. Well, we just thought it would be like a funny thing to put there, but I haven't actually seen it.
Oh man, you should check it out. It's completely over the top and
Mm.
ridiculous. But anyway, but yeah, one of the things too, though, with just going back to Pilot Red Sun real quick, is the dude makes all of his own music, which is awesome, and it's really good stuff. I don't know if you checked it out besides his videos, but I was wondering about the music you make, because like I think before Buckshot, what was it? You were using mostly tracks from this artist. Was it Jabu or something like that?
Yeah, Jabu. Yeah.
Yeah. So was Buckshot the first game where you'd actually made the music yourself?
Not really. Like Carbon Steel had music that I made, and that's not really up right now. Like I'm like planning to get it up on Spotify because like my SoundCloud got nuked, which was annoying. But yeah, Carbon Steel had like some tracks that I made myself, but others were like public domain tracks pretty much. Mm. But yeah, Buckshot was like the first game that had like a full soundtrack made by myself.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. People really dig the beats, that sort of thing. And I mean, I'm assuming because on the little Quaaludes bottle, if you follow the QR code, there's a screenshot of it was an Aphex Twin at a show or whatever.
Yeah.
So was Aphex Twin your primary influence for when you were making the music for Buckshot?
For Blank Shell, yes, like the menu track.
Hmm.
Um, but for the other ones, it's really like, yeah, for like Blank Shell and like Monochrome LCD, that is like the main influence. But the other ones are more like just like boiler sets, pretty much, like underground techno mainly.
Yeah,
Like,
it kind of reminds me of this artist I listen to. I don't know if you know him. It's choosing. It's a Japanese DJ who does kind of industrial techno music. You ever heard of him?
I might have,
Okay.
because I know another Japanese artist. I forget the name. He also does like sets that are like
Is it Merzbow?
super weird at times.
Merzbow's the guy who does that weird like noise stuff. Is that who you're thinking of?
Hiroko Yamamura?
Oh, I think I've heard of that guy.
Does that ring a bell?
Sounds familiar. I don't know. I haven't. I'm
This
not sure if
one.
I've heard his stuff, but I think I've heard of him. Yeah, but that's pretty sick. So do you mostly like with the music you listen to? Do you mostly listen to electronic music, or do you kind of branch out, and listen to whatever? Like, what are some of your favorite artists right now?
Um, so I mainly listen to like electronic music, but I sort of branch out to like I like Massive Attack. Um, but yeah, mainly like Aphex Twin is good. Boards of Canada is another artist that I really like.
Oh, yeah, I love Boards
I
of Canada.
also listen to like Ronnie Size, like Ronnie Size's New Forms album. That's like that's like super good.
I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, it's like it's not all over the place. I mean, it's mainly electronic music. Like, there's another artist that I got really into is like DJ Smokey. Um, yeah, he makes like really good tracks. He made funk before it came like drift funk with like the cowbells everywhere.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I love Boards of Canada. They got such a cool vibe, like that.
Yeah,
What was it, Turquoise Hexagon Sun? That's like one of my favorite songs to just work to. It's a good concentration song. But
yeah,
cool, cool, yeah. So just kind of when it comes to like indie game development or whatever, there's a ton of stuff you're doing. You're wearing a bunch of different hats, right? Because you're just a solo dev, so you kind of have to do everything, right? So there's coding, there's modeling, textures, lighting, the sound design, music, and then once you're done with the game, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. What would you say is like your favorite part or one of your favorite parts of the overall process? Would you say?
probably like the art side of things is probably my favorite. Um, but I also like yeah, pretty much like art and I guess programming. 'Cause like I mean coding can also suck if it's like super boring systems, but some things are incredibly fun. I like making like machines blink and like do stuff and move around. That's fun. I'll say those are probably my favorite. My least favorite part is probably like sound design, because that's just like endlessly scrolling through like terrible audio files, trying to find the right one. And also like when you do sound design, you can't exactly listen to music too, so it's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel it.
Other times it can be fun though, because like there's so many things you can do with like sounds. Um, like the sliding doors in like Carbon Steel and Control Room Alpha. That's just like a recording of a CD tray, like coming out and then going back in, and then it's just slowed down. So it's like fun to figure out stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I watch. There's a guy on YouTube. It's his name's Goldies, and he does these crazy stop motion videos. But the thing that looked fun to me was doing like Foley, where you're kind of making all the sound effects. Although that's obviously going to take more time. You need more specialized
Yeah,
equipment, that sort of thing. But
yeah. I mean, the recording Foley is pretty fun. I occasionally do it, um, but most of the time, it's for me, it's just like scrolling freesound.org and just like yeah.
yeah, trying to find good stuff. I could imagine that'd be annoying. Um,
Mm.
But yeah, one thing too I wanted to ask about is your transition from Unity to Godot. I'm assuming you switched to Godot probably because of the you know terrible shit
Yeah, the
that
runtime
Unity,
fee.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that shit, which is completely bullshit. But Godot, yeah, for those who don't know, it's an open source engine. How did you find that transition? Because as far as I know, I've kind of dabbled a little bit in both. Like Unity, I think uses C sharp scripts, stuff like that. Godot has kind of a different model, and they have a kind of a Python based language. How did you find the transition from Unity to Godot?
It was like, well, there were so many things that are like weird with Godot compared to Unity. Um, like the main thing I found super difficult was like in Unity, what you can do is you can like run the game in the editor, and you get like a real-time feed of what's going on like inside the editor. So like if you spawn a thing, you can just move in the editor to the place and like see this thing spawn. But in Godot, you don't really have any of that. You just have like just the scene hierarchy that updates according to the game. Um, so that was one thing. Um, it
Oh,
was like I think it was like pretty difficult though. Like the first 2 weeks, I was on the verge of like giving up. But there was just like there was pretty much this moment where it all clicked, and after that, it was fine. As for like the programming side of things, I think that mm, like GDScript compared to C sharp, I actually like it more.
oh, interesting.
I feel like it's like faster to iterate on, and there wasn't really anything difficult in transitioning to like because it is essentially like going from C sharp to Python. Like Python is kind of simpler.
Yeah,
It's not exactly Python. It's sort of like uh, it's a bit more hard typed, or I forget the term compared to Python. You still have to like
right. Declare like variable types and
yeah,
things like that.
declare variables exactly,
Yeah.
which is good. Like that's a really good thing because otherwise,
Oh yeah.
I feel like code would be like all over the place.
That's one of my least favorite things about Python is just it feels so kind of loosey goosey. You just had
Oh
you
yeah,
could pass
yeah, I
whatever
totally
to
agree.
whatever. But yeah, no, that's interesting. So wait, with Godot, you have to basically code, and then you have to do a complete build basically to test it. You can't just kind of run it in real time in the editor.
Well, no, you can like run it in the editor, but you're just missing like a complete view of what is happening in the game compared to Unity.
Oh, I see.
Um, yeah, 'cause like in Unity, like if you build out a level and you run the game, then you can see your like character move around in the level in the viewport as well and everything else. But in Godot, you don't really have that. So you would like that makes like the reason that's difficult is like if you want to debug something, like maybe an enemy doesn't spawn or like something like that, then you sort of have to rely on like the console
Mhm.
and other methods instead of just looking at where the enemy is like spawning like in the editor.
Got
Because
it.
in Unity it was like easier that way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, with coding, were you self-taught? Like you kind of just picked up, indie game development as a hobby, and you kind of learned coding along the way, or did you ever take any classes for it?
No, I never took any classes. Oh, I guess I kind of did. Like I took a course, like a free course on Codecademy for C sharp, and that's like where I got the main like foundation for stuff. And I think that was super helpful. Like every now and then I did program outside of game development as well, and like Python stuff like the like I don't know if you've heard of the advent of code.
I don't think I have. No, is it what's the advent of code?
Yeah, well, it's like every day there's like a problem that you have to solve, and it's
Oh,
mainly
okay,
like making algorithms. Like it pretty much gives you an input, and then you have to put in like the right output. So it's like it's super funny. It's like, oh, Santa Claus has this long list of groceries and he has to sort it, and then you have to like figure out like an algorithm that works on the input. Stuff like that is like pretty fun.
that's pretty cool.
Um,
Oh, is it
Yeah.
always Christmas related? Like the advent of God?
Yes, it is. It
Oh,
is
interesting.
always Christmas. Yeah. I think
That's
it's every year.
huh.
It gets super difficult though. Like I usually hang out for like a week, and then after that, it's just like mind-boggling,
Oh yeah.
like the problems that you have to solve.
Oh yeah. There's a this thing called like Project Euler. That's kind of a similar concept, I think, where it's like a bunch of different problems that you kind of do in order, and they
Yeah.
get harder and harder as you do them. But they're kind of fun. I mean, it just kind of feels like you're doing little puzzles, trying to solve
Mm,
things. But
yeah.
that's cool, man. That's cool. But yeah, I think we're running out of time here. But anything you wanted to tell the audience? Obviously, there was that recent thing about multiplayer, but we won't go into that. You can see the post there. But anything else that you've been working on? Any exciting announcements? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much. If you haven't seen it already, then Unsorted Horror is out on CD, which is cool. The soundtrack by
Ooh.
Jabu. And what's cool about it is that I don't think it's really written anywhere on like the Turtle Pals tapes page, but like essentially what Jabu did was he took all the tracks for Unsorted Horror, and then instead of it being like all the tracks separately, it's like three tracks, like one track for each game, and it's pretty much all the like soundscapes like blended in, like together, and it sounds super good. Um, so I think it's like worth checking out.
Oh hell yeah.
But apart from that, I don't really have much else to say apart from like thanks for playing and for listening.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, well, thanks for joining me, man. It's been cool talking to you, kind of getting to know a little bit more about the process, inspirations, that sort of thing. Because as you probably know, I'm a
Yeah.
pretty big fan of Buckshot, and the other work you've done. So yeah, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, it was fun hanging out.
All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye bye.